contrast of that he's been through the worst pain, the worst abject poverty. And so when he's working for us, he's like, man, I'm making bank. he's stoked.
Yeah.
That was the only good thing that happened with the Discovery Channel thing when they came down, was like, they said, what does your boat driver get paid a day? And I just went, $100 a day for 6 weeks. And the boat driver gets paid in the Amazon. The boat driver gets paid like $10 a day. So I was like, when I told him, I was like, you're going to be making $100 a day, which is like 360 soles a day for 6 weeks. He looked at me and he went, wow, how is that possible? I was like, don't worry about it. I was like, just if they ask you, just nod. It's great.
God damn. Well, we've been putting it off, and I do want to get to it now because
Sure.
I've known for months we're doing this podcast, obviously, and you were doing another podcast before this, so I didn't want to check that out and see what's what. I kind of want to be surprised by it myself. But you and I have had some baseline conversations over the past, like, probably 13, 14 months about the Narcos problem. But to go all the way there, now that you're telling the story and it's public, let's just start at the beginning. These Narcos you speak of, who are they associated with? When did you first notice them, and when did you realize it was going to be an enormous fucking problem?
The Narcos, first of all, in the entire time, basically for the entire trajectory of this book, it's like when I went down to the Amazon, started learning from JJ, we were in deep wilderness. Then we saw the smoke on the horizon and we started protecting it. Then we started turning the loggers and the gold miners into conservation rangers. That was the start of Jungle Keepers. But we could do that because JJ could go talk to the loggers and the gold miners, and they were people that, like, friends of his brothers, friends of his fathers, local people who were just like, my best option is to be a logger. My best option is to be a miner. And we were like, you want a better job? And they were like, sure, but we could go talk to them. And so one of the things we would always do is fly the drone over and just sort of scout and see, like, how many of them are there, because you do have to be careful, right? It's not without risk. You've been to the edges of some of these clearings. And so on this, about 2 years ago, we saw this huge clearing spring up overnight on the side of the river above the reserve, which was horrifying because we said, wait a second, how did this happen? We thought it was safe. And now this huge clearing, I'm talking about like 6 football fields long, along the edge of the river, which is devastating, burnt to the ground. And so we went up one day and we had JJ, me, some of the staff. We even had donors with us. And I fly the drone up over the canopy and then down into the burnt area. And every time I fly the drone into a deforested area, the loggers do the same thing. The loggers see the drone and then they run into their huts. And they're just like little corrugated steel huts or thatched huts. They will run into the huts because they know the drone has a camera on it. They don't want to be seen. They hide. They ran, this time we flew the drone. It gets down low. People run into the huts. And we passed where the huts were. We had just gone upriver of the huts. And all of a sudden the people come back out with guns. And so I have the drone in the air, and this is like a really nice cinematic drone. So you're talking about a multi-$1,000 drone. And JJ goes, go, as they're running for their boat. So they're not running away. They're coming at us. And so we told the driver, gun it. Thank God we had a 60 horsepower. They had a 40 horsepower. But they're coming behind us, and I have the drone in the air, and we're flying the drone. And again, we have civilians on the boat at this point. Yeah, we have donors. We have people that were coming. God. They wanted to see the land that they had protected. And so down where we do the ecotourism stuff, where the tree house is and like where you stayed, it's safe down there. We're talking about 6 hours upriver, a totally different part of the river. And so now we're all the way up there, and now we can't even go downriver because we're above where the Narcos were camped. And so we're driving upriver. The drone is in the air, and the clients are picking up on it because they're like, hey, this whole Pirates of the Caribbean chase thing, like, what are they going to do if they get to us? And I was like, this happens all the time. They're just mad. They just want to yell at us. And like, you can see them with shotguns. Like, they're not joking. And JJ was like, oh, it's okay. He's like, this happens all the time. And then he looked at me and he was like, not good. We're going as fast as we can, drones in the air. And then, I'm going, okay, this is like a $5,000 drone. We cannot stop. So I raced the drone ahead on the last 2% battery it had. I just found like a tree. There was like, I'll recognize that tree. Just crash the drone, leave it. Forget the drone. We kept driving, and we'd been working with the Peruvian police to try and investigate this area. where this huge clearing was.
How helpful is that? You're so deep in the Amazon.
We have been providing them with boats. We have been helping them with gasoline. We have been providing as much support as we can. They don't have the funding, but they have the will to protect. And so we said, look, there's this huge patch of deforestation. We need you up there. And it just so happened that they were up there. We've been working with these guys for weeks, become friends with them. And so as this boat is chasing us and we can't stop, we show up at an outpost where we have police that are friendly to us, that are posted there because of us. We get there and we go, look what's coming upriver. And our friends, the guy Jonathan was running the team that day. We get up there, we shake hands, everybody, they look downriver and you see this narco boat coming upriver straight towards us. And they were like, let's go. They got on the thing, they called back, they got on the Starlink, they called for support. They all put on ski masks, loaded up, got on our boat, and then we turned our boat right around and we drove straight towards them. Because now we're armed to the teeth. Now we outgunned them. And of course, their boat turned around immediately and went downriver. So we got a police escort all the way back down to the station. Great. Now we're getting off the boat. And again, me and JJ kept the whole situation. Even though there was guns and everything, we were like, hey, look, we just used extra precautions. We were just trying to keep it. We were totally, who wants coffee? Everybody want coffee? Everything's fine. We can't go see the land today, but we could try it another day. Everything's okay. Professional faces all around. And then I shook hands with all the cops, ski masks off now. I said, guys, good job. Get back upriver. You only got another hour or two of daylight. Get back upriver. Get safe. Thank you for saving our asses. And, I shook Jonathan's hand, shook a bunch of other people's hands. And they went up. And then I'm at the station now where the staff is cooking for the clients and we're talking about how to protect the river. And my phone keeps buzzing. I'm like, what? I look at it and it's Stefan again and again and again and again. And I'm like, not now. I'm working right now. I'm like hanging out with everybody.
Stefan is the chair of your board.
Yeah.
Context out there.
And he's like, right now, phone. And I pick up. And when the cops got back up to their outpost, they figured the action was over for the day and they were cleaning themselves in the river. And they didn't necessarily hear it as the boat came around the bend. And then they see a boat coming around the bend. And it's got a driver and it's got another person. And it still didn't seem like a threat. And then right as the boat passed them, somebody popped up with a shotgun and shot Jonathan straight in the fucking chest. So I get the phone call. The man whose hand I just shook, who saved our asses today, is dead. Whoa. So that day we realized everything changed. It had been like 2022, 2023, 2024. It had been like this sense of success and building, and we're going to do this and it's going to be great. And then if it was a movie, it was like this montage of hope and increasing capability. And then with a gunshot, that all ended. All of a sudden we got plunged into danger land where we said, wait a second, what? Like it hadn't even occurred to us that this was possible. And then all of a sudden our friend is gone, just period, gone. And now there's people on the river. And then in the preceding weeks, the police happened to arrest somebody that was on the periphery of this, and they confiscated his cell phone. And his cell phone said, if you find the mierda gringo voladrón, if you find the shithead gringo that flies the drone, or Juan Julio Doran, if you find either of those and you can kill him, we'll reward you. Whoa. So then we had an official hit out on us.
What goes through, now we talked about fear earlier. What goes through your head? Because like these are the worst people in the world. These are traffickers,
These are bad people. Okay. So this is the thing. These are like artisanal cocaine growers, right? So these are people that are out in the middle of nowhere and they go, well, it's really remote out there. And they're talking to their brother or their cousin or their friend. And they're going, look, if we go out there, we could grow some coke for a few months. We can just cut down some forest. No one will know because in the middle of nowhere, we'll grow some stuff. We'll get a few bags of powder and then we'll sell it and it'll be bank for us. And this is the way they think. We'll just do it again next year. And that's their whole business plan, right? So they're desperate too. But in that narco culture is that violent streak where it's like, if we get caught, we're going to go to jail and we're not going to jail. So we'll shoot you first. And so it's not like the loggers. The loggers, it's kind of like, it's more of an innocent sort of Robin Hood thing. It's like you catch us, we get fined, we go to jail for 2 weeks, we come out. It's like, it's much more the thing is the threat level increased and we didn't realize it. The cops didn't realize it. Nobody realized it. And now we have a dead friend.
And this is the end of 2024?
This is
the beginning of 2025.
This is last year in April, maybe. This is
Oh,
recent.
so you called me right after this. I didn't realize that. Because that's when you first told me about this.
Yeah.
Was like the end of April.
Yeah, and then weeks after that happened, they basically said to me, they said, you got to get out of here. They said, you're way too recognizable. They said, even if we put
Who told you that?
The cops.
The cops.
I mean, then we had to work with the security team. We had to, then we have now when I'm there, I have a security detail.
To this day.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And is it
Like
the Peruvian cops?
Yes, and if I want to buy a banana, I have to be like, everybody up. We're walking to the market. 6 people on either side of me. There's 2 other guys spotting, and so now I've gotten to the point where if I want to go buy a banana, I go, guys, could you just get me a banana? It's easier than going anywhere because to mobilize a team of people and cars and things, and also it takes the fun out of going anywhere to be.
That's gotta annoy the fuck out of you.
Not just annoy the fuck out of me, but it's also. It's really dark, the idea of that someone's going to come and try to shut you off.
Yes.
And that you might not even see it coming. That's horrifying. That I feel fear for. That is very scary. And that fear was realized on the day that JJ, the way we leave the station, you leave the station by boat, and then you get to the edge of this road, this logging road, and then you take the logging road back to town. The logging road meets up at the Trans-Amazon Highway and then goes back to town. And so me and JJ all the time we do it almost every, once a week we go back to town. We take the river down to the logging road. Our car meets us there, and then the car takes us back to the nearest city. And so I had just been told that I couldn't be in Peru anymore, and so I'd come home. And JJ left the station and came down the river and reached the dirt road where he saw the driver named Percy. Our driver's name is Percy, and he has a Hilux. And so JJ went, oh, you know what? He goes, we should have gone and walked the trail and figured out the thing. He goes, I need one more day in the jungle. He just happened to change his mind. And he said, you know what? Take the garbage back to town. Come back, pick me up tomorrow, and then I'll spend a few days in town. He made a last minute decision. Percy's driving our pickup truck down the road, and they had downed trees. They had cut some trees across the road, and there was armed men in masks that put guns, pistols in the windows. They pulled him out, and we have tinted back windows. And he said that while he was on his knees, they were like, open the back, get Paul and JJ out. They were fully intending on executing us right there. And then when we weren't in the car, they roughed him up, and they took his wallet, and they took his cell phone, and they had him on the ground with a gun against his head. And they said, where's Paul and JJ? And he said, I have no idea who that is. And they said, don't fuck with us. We know exactly who you are. You know exactly who we are. And they said, just tell them they got lucky today. They're not going to get lucky again. And so he came back shaking. And when that news hit us, then it got really ugly.
How long after April was that?
I don't know. If you know, it was
a month or two?
It was a few weeks later.
Are you worried though about them coming to the research station and where you are?
No.
I mean, they know where it is.
No. Also, now at the research station, they would have to have an army to get into the because we're very well protected now. We have risen to the threat level now. But also, again, I
mean, you don't even have windows there, though, Paul.
Sure, but in order to get there, you have to come through the river, and there's no other way to get there.
Right.
Right.
There's one way in.
There's only one way in. There's no roads. Mm-hmm. You can't walk through the jungle to get there. It's just not. They can't do that. And so at this point, we have a huge security team. We're still bringing tourists and everything. They're not after them. They're after me and JJ. The threat level is upriver, all the way up there.
Right.
And they're just saying, if anybody sees that Italian guy or that one Peruvian, take them out.
Who did the guys specifically who have been doing these things, these narcos, these growers, who do they work for? Like what
That's the
syndicate?
Thing. They don't. They're like it's like weed growers in California. It's like they're just doing it on their own, man.
Well, I mean, they work for like the CCP sometimes now.
Well, sure. I don't know what I'm saying, like in the 80s, but like the I don't know what the current situation is. Delete that from the record. I have no idea.
That's all right.
I'm just thinking about some guy in his backyard with some weed plants. I'm saying these people are just like, we'll just grow, and then we'll. So they're saying
and they're growing,
we will grow and sell to people that are real. So they're kind of below. They're not like the cartel. It's not like the Mexican. This isn't Sicario.
But who? So you don't know who they're selling the coke to?
No, I'm not fucking DEA. Like and that's sort of the problem. Is like we're out there. I'm a artistic writing kid who wants to count butterflies and take pretty pictures. Like I'm not. we were not ready for this, and now they're hunting us, or
Paul,
they were
Paul,
hunting us.
I totally understand that. The difference here is these are people that not only have made explicit threats on your life, they have made attempts on it.
Attempts,
effectively. Yeah. And, you know, I'm not you, but I would want to know, like, are they, obviously it's a bad example because he's not around anymore, but are they working for Pablo Escobar? Are they working for El Chapo? You know what I mean?
Not.
Like,
we know that from the police. We have a certain amount of intelligence. We know that they're not working directly for anybody, that they are individual groups of people that just think this is a good idea. And so they are artisanal cocaine growers.
What do their grows look like? And you said they're upriver, the grows, like 5-6 hours?
Upriver, or days. Like sometimes
have you put a drone over to see where they're growing?
We have, and then the Peruvian Special Forces has done it. They even like notified the American DEA because it was such a large haul that they got out. But they've also, as far as we know, they've cleared out the threat to the point that there's no narcos left on the river. It was like one, you know, like when you get a wasp nest?
Yeah.
It was like a wasp nest. It's like they came in, they cleared forest. Think about it. You can't just do this anywhere. You have to clear forest, to cut down trees that are 16 feet thick with giant chainsaws. There's a lot of work just to make a field in the middle of nowhere. So they were stuck in that one spot. And so when law enforcement went in, they were able to clear them out, which they did. And so at the moment, the threat level has gone back down because it seems like these guys aren't completely stupid, and they went, oh, this area is protected. The cops are going to keep coming and messing up.
So they've gone somewhere else.
Yes, and so that's the good part, is that it was for about a year and a half, it was really bad. And right now, as far as we know, it's not as bad.
Do you know if they're native Peruvians to the jungle itself back there? Or did they come in there?
No, these are coming from another part of Peru entirely.
So they could have been like from Puerto Maldonado or something.
Worse, no, they're from a whole other part of the Amazon. They're from like where the Amazon turns into the Andes. They're from
they're from all the way up.
No, they're from all the way up. They're not from the jungle. They're people. They're people from the countryside, as JJ would say. So they are familiar with the outdoors, but they are not Amazonian natives.
How?
They're coming just to use the remoteness, the fact that we are past the edge of human civilization on the planet. They are trying to use how remote it is. The same reason we want to protect it, because these ecosystems are thousands, millions of years old and have never been touched. They're going, well, it's so far past where anybody can get with a boat or a car. It's so inaccessible. We can do this and no one's going to catch us. But it just so turns out that this is within the area that Jungle Keepers is trying to protect. And it just so turns out that they're directly in conflict with the uncontacted tribes. And so the uncontacted tribes and the narcos, I was speaking to another anthropologist who you should have on the show, Kerry Bowman, his work is incredible. He does set it up. He does work in another part of the Amazon. And he was saying same problem. This is becoming a problem with these artisanal narcos. And he was saying that these people are so scared. They've come from another part of the Amazon and they come into the deep jungle. And so they don't know what these sounds are. Unlike JJ, they don't know what any of the sounds are. They don't know what any of the medicines are. They don't know what the rules of the game are. And so when they hear that there's these tall painted warriors that have a whole different code, a whole different language that have been out there for centuries, they think of them almost as mythological. Like they have beliefs where they're like, if you even see one, you'll die, which is kind of true, because if they don't like you and you see one, they'll clever girl you from the side with an arrow and you'll have it through your neck by the time you realize what's going on.
How long those bamboo tipped arrows?
7 feet.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, they're huge. And so the narcos are terrified of the uncontacted tribes, which is in one way good because it keeps the narco activity under control. And also a shotgun in the forest is not as effective as an arrow, because a shotgun's range is less than an arrow's range.
Really?
Of course.
A 7-foot arrow?
Can we look up how far buckshot shoots with any sort of efficacy? Because you shoot buckshot, I want to say like...
He's already got it. Fucking machine.
50 yards.
All right. Buckshot effective range is generally considered under 50 yards, with peak effectiveness often cited within 25 to 40. Yeah,
okay.
Actually.
Now, can you look up what is the range of a longbow arrow? An arrow shot from a longbow.
Do any of your guys have like AR-15s?
No.
No. Okay, a longbow arrow is going to be 200 to 300 yards. It's not even close.
Not even close.
Not even fucking close.
Not even close. And in the jungle where you know buckshot's going to be hitting leaves and vines and twigs and things, to actually shoot, I might get a little bit of you, but I'm not going to, those arrows, if they get you, it's a whole machete going through your body. You ain't going to get up.
Yeah. I remember when we first met before you did the podcast, it was August 2022 and you went down for the fire season.
Yeah.
So I've told the story before, but I texted you maybe like a week and a half to you being in there. And I was up editing one night at like 3 a.m. and you hadn't answered for like 3 days. And then you got to a sat phone or something and you sent me like, it was like a shuddering, like kind of like 3-paragraph text. Like, yeah, we ran into the uncontacted, or so-and-so ran into the uncontacted tribes, took a bamboo through the temple.
Yeah.
He's gone. I was just like,
yeah,
fuck, man.
Yeah. It's like the Wild West, but wilder.
Yes.
There's no rules. When you're in untracked Amazonian jungle, there's just the rules are the rules of the rain and the rocks and the teeth. Like it's who's faster, who's got bigger teeth. It's the original rules. It's like caveman times.
And how wide, I'm trying to think, when you're going up Madre de Dios River, the average spots that you're going up, like across the way, how wide is that? 50 meters?
On our tributary, yeah, I'd say about 50 meters to 80.
Right.
There's certain points where the river is much fatter, and then it'll choke down at the turns. But
in range.
Oh, 100% in range. Oh,
meaning like if you spot them across, pew!
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they're deadly accurate.
Deadly accurate. One of my close friends, his father was shot through the stomach, and the way it hit him, it cut him across the stomach, so everything fell out onto the floor. It just perfectly opened him. So in 1 second, he was alive and fine. Arrow went by, and all of his guts fell out onto his feet. And so his son was there with him. And then they started noticing that the animal sounds had been different, and that there was multiple animal sounds coming from multiple directions, and the tribes were talking in animal sounds so that they hadn't noticed. And then the kid ran for it and ended up living. The father, of course, died because there's no way of putting. But he's my friend. I know him. Very nice guy.
All right, back to the Narcos for a second. Do you have did you have an idea of the range of like number that you were dealing with, like how deep they went?
No. At the time that happened, it was very scary. Again, we're running scared on a boat. We're boating as quickly as we can, and then
afterwards. I know.
Like I'm saying afterwards. Even afterwards, it was like we have to start finding out. We have to go to the police and be like, look, this is now beyond our hands. We can have rangers going around with boats and reporting to you guys when there's logging, but we have no idea how to deal with this threat.
Right.
So it was really, we had to up everything about our operations. It became a lot more expensive to protect land because we have to do it now with, it's not just protect the land and stick some rangers on it. It's protect the land, stick some rangers, bring security. It's a whole bigger thing now. And so this is horrible with the loggers. It's like it's like you're running a marathon and you're coming into the last third of the marathon and somebody jumps on your back. It's like, it's just not what you needed right now. And they're trying to stab you in the neck. It's like, it's just not, this is hard enough. The way it was. Now that they're hunting us, it has truly become, this was a dangerous job before that. The whirlpools, the falling trees, the vipers, the Amazon itself, the rushing river. Now there's angry people that want to kill us out there. And so, and if you look at the numbers of, again, this is probably a stat that we could pull up, but like how many environmental defenders are shot in the Amazon every year? It's many. This is an ongoing thing where people will stand up for the forest, whether it's local people or people from outside, and then they will kill them.
2024 data in 2024, at least 146 environmental defenders were killed or disappeared globally, with the vast majority of these occurring in Latin America. Yeah. There it is.
Like it's an ongoing, they know how it works, because there's usually a figurehead at the top of the organization, like me or JJ. And if you can cut the head off the snake, also if you can devastate enough, if you can cause that shock and awe of letting people see a fucking body, they'll stop. They'll leave.
Also, like what kind of... I know it's in Peru. Peru's a nation. They have laws. But this is so far beyond where the cops or military generally go. Like, are there even laws out there?
I mean,
Technically.
according to who, you know?
Right.
Again, if me and you are in Alaska and we are 150 miles away from the nearest police station, you know, and we get into a bad argument. The only thing that stops us is our own ethical framework, you know. Or if we run it, let's rephrase that, because me and you is a bad example. But let's say we ran into a bunch of people and they wanted to rob us. What's going to stop them from doing it? The only thing that's going to stop them from doing it is if we have guns sufficient to fight their guns. That's it. Because if they have more, even if we were loaded with pistols, they have shotguns, they're going to win, period. And so it really comes down to who's got bigger teeth and stronger muscles. It's like the original old school rules. Yeah. And so we're days past. I mean, I'm talking days by boat, where you go drive for a whole day through the jungle. You don't see anybody except for animals. And then you drive for another whole day. And so when you get to those places, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
The bad guys have figured out that if they can go out there, nobody can mess with them. And so whereas it used to be, I mean, and Mother of God, I was going on these solos deep into, you know, national parks that only JJ and the indigenous people have access to, and going far, far up. But we knew that there was no people up there. You knew that it was just pristine jungle that had been growing for 30 million years. Now on our river, it's like everything is coming to a head.
Right.
And then recently, this is not like public knowledge, but, you know, someone came back with pictures from way out in the Amazon, and there was a mass grave where apparently the Narcos had rounded up the uncontacted tribes and just shot dozens of them. And so now the Narcos are realizing just kill everybody. And so the thing is, the wildest place on earth now has pressure from the narco traffickers, the loggers, the illegal gold miners. There's roads coming in. We have this diamond. We have this beautiful emerald thing that we're trying to protect, that's filled with millions and millions of animal heartbeats. It's the most incredible, interconnected, complex wilderness on earth. And we're begging the world to help us protect it. And the only thing we need is the funding to finish it. We've already shown that we can do it. And so it's just a race against time. Can we beat the bad guys to save the animals? It's basically Avatar.
Can you, Dave, can you just pull up a map of Peru right now with like a topography map so we can see like the green and everything? Do you roughly know the general area where that mass grave was? Because I got some questions about this.
You can ask me questions about it. I can't tell you where it was. I can't point it out on a map on public.
Fair enough. All right. Never mind on that part.
Let's not do that.
That's fine. I'm almost shocked that they found that, because like out here, the mob whacks a guy. They take him to the fucking Meadowlands. They can find those bones and shit, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years later if they have to. But you think about out in the Amazon where everything, the jungle literally eats itself. Yeah. If someone whacks someone out in the middle of the Amazon, they could leave the body right there. And how long would it even last before it's completely gone?
Not long, but I think that the thing that like a day, like 2 days, and your body's gone. The vultures, the dung beetles, the flies, the maggots, the things. I've seen it. I've watched like a dead porcupine. I've watched a dead tapir, which is almost the same weight as a human, same amount of flesh to digest, and
bones gone.
Tapir went to bones, I would say, in 3 days, like no flesh left on it in the middle of the jungle. And then you give it another week and those bones are gone with the rain and the mycelium get into it.
So why did the Narcos build a mass grave, and how did the bodies stay there long enough to even be discovered?
I think it's the turtle tracks principle. So when people want to eat turtle eggs and you're driving upriver in your boat, the only way to find the turtle eggs is to look for the footprints of the mother turtles. And you can see these little footprints going up the beach to the point where you can see the turtle eggs. And then the only time you're going to find those is when the tracks are fresh. So once it rains, it's wiped. So either you're finding new turtle eggs or you don't find turtle eggs. But you're never going to find turtle eggs and have there be baby turtles in there. They're either fresh, right? And so with the mass grave, I think that what they did was they piled up so many bodies that there were so many vultures flying over that thing. You'd have king vultures, yellow-headed vultures, black-headed vultures. And so some native person probably saw this thing of vultures, tornado of vultures like they've never seen before, and went, I want to know what's over there. Right. These native people are so smart. They probably went, I want to know what's over there. and they probably went and invested. That's the only thing I could think of, because it would be so far out. But at the same time, it would cause such a reaction in the forest to have that much material that can be digested. So I don't know anything about it. Somebody very reliable told me that this had happened. But the important thing is this. I mean,
How
the
many
reason
were we talking, Paul?
he said mass graves. So you're talking at least over 20, I would assume. But I'm at this point reaching deep into what I don't know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, people keep going, why did you release the footage of the uncontacted tribes? And it's like, because they can't tell their story on a podcast. They can't go to the United Nations. They can't go post social media posts. So either they're going to go extinct and no one's going to know about it, or we get the power to protect their forest and get the narcos out and save all the wildlife, and they continue to live there as long as they want. But in order to protect them, we have to tell their story. And we need the support of people wanting to protect them. Yeah. And so for that, we have to publish what's going on. And that is, most people have gotten that. It's only like, every 100 comments or so, you get somebody that's just like, leave them alone. We are leaving them alone. Yeah. They're coming out of the forest and asking us for help.
Yes. You can't worry about that.
No.
That's you know you're doing the right thing, and you're an expert on it. So I'm not worried about that. What the other thing I keep thinking with the narcos though is like they're doing this 5-6 hours upriver, obviously growing the stuff and then transporting it out of there. They don't even really need to think about how they smuggle it though, because there's no one out there. They just fucking stick it on the boats, right?
Stick it on the boats.
And you don't know where it ends up. Like you don't know where the boats end up.
I mean, we do. The boats end up on the Trans-Amazon Highway, and then the Trans-Amazon Highway leads all the way to Lima.
Right. Okay, so you don't know who the end. Right.
And there is a police checkpoint on the road, but they stop you and they do that pointless baggage search thing where they unzip your bag and they look into it and they touch a few things and then they zip your bag. They're too lazy to really search it. And so, I mean, you could have all the cocaine you want in that bag and they're never going to find it. If they had dogs, it would be a little bit more efficient. But again, you're talking about a police force where the people are good. They want to do their jobs more effectively. They don't have the resources. They don't have the training. They don't have the funding, and they're trying the best they can. They also have too much land and too few officers. Same thing with the gold mining. And that you can look up. You can look up Madre de Dios of Peru. If you look up the Madre de Dios of Peru and you zoom in on that on Google Maps, you can get the maps up. Yeah. And if you look satellite, if it's on satellite, it should be on satellite. I think.
You had to go to open a maps. Exactly.
Yeah. And then go to satellite view. So it's the real thing.
Layers on the left.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, so see that right above your cursor? See that yellow shit at the bottom? Zoom into that. That's all gold mining.
That's all gold mining.
That's all gold mining. That's hundreds of thousands of acres of gold mining.
Now, you and I in episode 124 talked about that at like the 29, 30-minute mark. So you've talked about this before, but for people who haven't seen that or haven't heard this, like who runs these operations?
Wait, hold on. I literally want to take a picture of the screen because that's kind of funny. Who runs these organizations?
Yes, like who?
Gold mining mafias. There's mafias of gold miners. So actually, some of the security people that I work with the police have worked for, because they don't, security doesn't care where they work for. They've worked for legal miners. There is some legal mining happening, not illegal mining. And this dude was telling me a story where he was working for the legal miners. So these people are working up to their chests in the sludge, pulling the gold out of the soil. They'd already cut the forest, burned the forest, and now they'd irrigated the soil and they're sucking it up and they're using mercury to bind the gold. And they finally get, after weeks of effort, they get this tiny little golf ball sized piece of crap gold. It's not even high quality gold. And now they have to move, this family of artisanal gold miners has to move this gold from here to the city where they can sell it. Now you have this very, very valuable thing concentrated in your hand, and everybody knows you have it because you're a gold miner. So what happens? They get in their car and they start driving. They actually were able to hire security to go with them. And he said, as they're going down this little dirt jungle trail, and there wasn't trees this time, they'd used a parked pickup truck just to block the road. Everybody came out. Everybody started shooting. I said, well, what happened on that day? He said, well, me and my team killed 6 of them, of the attackers. He said, but we only lost 1. He said it was my friend right next to me. He said he got shot and his neck exploded, hit the artery, and he died right there. And so this is all so that these people can get one piece of gold to the selling point. They've destroyed acres and acres of a priceless ecosystem. They've risked their lives. And so you have to look into the fact that these people are so desperate. Nobody would do this if they had another option.
You just pointed out though also there's legal and illegal ones. So the legal ones that obviously goes through the Peruvian government, gets permission. Are there guardrails on ecologically what they're allowed to do there?
No, it's very unregulated. And in those areas, they call this La Pampa.
Yeah.
And I've driven up to the gates of that area, and there's gates, and that is where you find your guy with the AK-47.
Right.
That's where you see a guy in sunglasses with a machine gun, and you don't go past there. He won't let you pass there. And there was one time that I got to go into the gold mining areas, and I had Matt Gutman with me from ABC News.
Shout out, Matt.
Yeah. And we got to go. We met these Russian gold miners, and they were Russian gold miners, and they had come and they had legal permits to try, and they were actually trying to make gold mining less environmentally devastating. They were trying to improve upon this cut it, burn it, suck it all up. And they were like, maybe there's more sustainable way to do this. Maybe. And so we go in there, and we're on like dune buggies going across this wasteland, this sand. It looked like the bottom of the ocean. And this is where the Amazon rainforest used to be. In the distance, there's a sandstorm blowing up. It looked like dune. And we're in these dune buggies with sand all over us. And I'm going, this is where the jungle used to be. This is the apocalypse of nature happening all around us. And we're standing on a dune, watching the sandstorm spread across the land. And the Russian guy comes up to me and goes, "You are Paul Rosolie, yes?" And I said, how? Yes. And I'm going, how does he know my name? And he goes, "They are gold miners, and they know your name." And I went, "They know my name?" He said, "That's how I know your name." He said, "Because I heard them saying your name." He goes, "I'm just telling you. They know your name. They know that you raise money to stop them." And he's like, "They're all talking about the fact that you're here right now." And he was like, "You might want to be careful." And then days or a week later, I don't remember, but I was walking in the city, just like you see there, and on the sidewalk, and a little tuk-tuk pulled up and drove up on the curb, and two guys jumped out and pushed me up against the wall, and they said, no more talk in Spanish. They said, "No more talking about gold mining." And they had a few other threats that they were spitting out at me, but at that time I fully thought that was it. Because I was up against the wall, and I said, there's no reason that they can't.
Dave, can you pull up a picture? We've done this before, but I want people to see this. Amazon gold mine wasteland. Let's try that search. Like you've shown me this before, Paul, where it's just totally blown out. And which one do you want, Paul? One on the far right?
Any of these. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty bad. That's where the jungle used to be.
Yeah. And then actually that one you're scrolled over right now, Dave, hit that because you can literally see it where it's cut off.
If you just add
that was all trees.
Yeah. Honestly, just add my name to the end of that search thing right there, and I'm pretty sure my picture will come up. I wonder.
Okay.
I just am curious. Let's see. Yeah, right there. Top result. That's it. That's that day I'm talking about.
That's like the fucking Sahara in the middle of the Amazon.
You can see the sandstorm in the background of that photo. That's just such a horrific picture. And that pipe coming out the front, that's what they use to suck the earth up. It was one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen. The complete annihilation of nature on Earth. The devastation of millions of years of evolution to nothing.
And how much is this type of destruction growing? Like, do we know a rate it's growing at, or has it been somewhat contained at this point?
It's been growing, and the problem is that the military is scared to go. The Peruvian law enforcement is scared to go in there now because the miners are more numerous than they are.
What about the military?
I mean, the military can be called in. A few years ago, they came in with helicopters and commandos, and they came in and they blew up a bunch of shit. They arrested everybody, and then they had a few problems. One, they had hundreds and hundreds of people they just arrested, and most of them are artisanal, small scale people. They're not bosses. They don't have anything. So eventually you have to let them go. Next, they just blew up all this mining equipment, and the damage is already done, and half the people ran off into the surrounding jungle. And so within a few weeks, everybody was back at it, doing the gold mining again. And then so you go, well, what do we do? Another huge. But the problem is, if you don't have a better alternative for these people, just like the loggers, if you say stop logging, they're going, I'm not going to stop logging. I got to feed my daughter. I'm not going to stop logging. But if you go, hey, I have a better job for you. You can work as a ranger. We'll give you a t-shirt. We'll give you some binoculars. You can drive a boat, right? And they go, yeah. And they go, well, we're happy. You don't have to run from the law either. Well, then they're happy to do that. But now you have to find a way to replicate that for tens of thousands of people that are destroying this ecosystem because they're desperate and they don't have any money and they're willing to risk their lives for a couple of nuggets of gold and then try to get that to the place where they can sell it before they get shot. It literally is like the Wild West. And then people are coming with masks on and pistols and taking that gold from them. The poorest people on earth being robbed by the slightly poorer people on earth. It's just, it's horrible. It's No Country for Old Men. It's just dark.
Above that, like above the level of these mafias.
Yeah.
Like I'm just thinking about the logging we've talked about in the past where the funding can be traced back to America,
Yes.
China,
Yes,
different
yes,
countries around the world. Like enemies are like all doing the same damage and shit. And then all the countries are buying the product that they get there. Do we also see like nation states funding some of the gold mining as well?
Not in this case. I think that most of the logging most of the gold mining that's happening here is such low grade gold that it's not going towards like jewelry. It's not being exported to Europe. Or America. This is like gold you use in like electrical work. It's not. Yeah, this is
all that risk for just that.
What's the most valuable thing out there? But again, these people, there's so much. They could literally, if education was the prevailing or the head of the line out there, these people could learn how to do all kinds of complex agroforestry and actually make products that make them more money and a sustainable living, and they could be exporting Brazil nuts and small amounts of tropical timber and caring for their kids in an environment that's thriving. Whereas this is now a wasteland. Nothing can grow there or will for decades. And so we're fighting this. When I say that we're fighting this existential threat, I mean this for everybody on Earth. It's if 1/5 of our fresh water is contained in the Amazon and 1/5 of our oxygen is coming out of this system, and all of this biodiversity and endangered species and undiscovered medicines and tribal indigenous knowledge is contained in this, we're literally on the cusp of losing it. And so it is this thing that right now we need people to right now. We need to figure out how to save this river so that we can prove that it can be done and again and again and again. And across the Amazon, indigenous territories are the largest, most prevalent way of protecting the Amazon. They're the most effective. Then there's the national park systems, and then there's other things. But it's like we have to also, I think as a country, I think it would be helpful if America was putting pressure on South America or carrot and the stick. You know what I mean? Incentivizing Latin American countries even better.
Yes.
Incentivize them and say, look, we're going to hook you up with trade.
Yes.
We are going to hook you up, but we want to see zero deforestation. Let's help these people to rise out of poverty. And then no one's going to go out and start shooting jaguars and cutting down trees if they have a real job.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you were given control of one of these gold mine wastelands tomorrow, how would you fix this and how long would it take? Obviously, you can't regrow ancient trees in fucking 10 years, but like what could you do to salvage what's happened?
I mean, you would have to talk to a ecosystem restoration expert. I focus in saving primary rainforest and old growth rainforest. I mean, you look at the thick jungle that's on there. I'm about saving this. Once you get down to that level,
it's tough.
That's tough. That's like, how do you bring back a dead body? I mean, that's going to be the mercury contamination that's there. The fact that the sun beating down on that sand is going to prevent anything but maybe grass from growing there. You'd have to find a way of getting some initial cover. You'd have to wait for the pioneer species like Cecropia and Balsa and the grasses to take over there and to begin to build a layer of some sort of soil and topsoil and some shade. Otherwise, it really is just scorched wasteland, and it's not going to grow back.
What is you mentioned the current like national park system out there. What is it? Let's just focus on Peru for a second before going to other countries. What does that even look like at the moment? Because you had said earlier, your threshold for your stuff would be like 300,000 acres. So what do they already have in existence and who runs it?
Oh, it's really good. I mean, in our region, you can look up they have Alto Purus National Park. There's the Tambopata Reserve. There's Manu National Park, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. There's different indigenous territories. There's something called the Americairi. I always kind of choke on that word. Americairi Indigenous Territorial Reserve. There's the Uncontacted Indigenous Reserve. there's so much that's protected, and then you go up to the north of Peru. There's more area protected, and even Smithsonian published a map where they showed that if we can protect from Ecuador down through Peru, the Andes Amazon interface, that this could be a contiguous protected area that would protect the most biodiversity on Earth. So there's massive amounts of hope out there. It's just that we need more people. We need more action. And that's why this has been so great with the book. Is like, it's like the right time, and it seems like the story is reaching people. And I think the message of the book is understanding that I think a lot of people feel like they individually don't have the capability to do something. And I think that what this proves on a number of levels, whether it's JJ, me, Jane, that you absolutely can. And there's different levels of it. You know, nobody should do what I did. What I did was sort of suicidal. Suicidal. Well, I mean, in the sense that, like, I would never tell anyone to go do what I did. You know, go out on solos for 15 years, live out of your backpack, have no plan B.
Fish with your fucking skin on the bottom of your foot.
Develop crucial life skills like fishing with the bottom of your foot.
That's why there's one Paul Rosolie.
Amen.
Now, what about, you mentioned about 60% of the Amazon is in Brazil.
Yeah.
And there's been all kinds of political shit going on with their government there. What's the current standing of, like, the job they're doing in protecting the Amazon? Obviously, it's different than where you are. You're in Peru, but how much do you know about that?
It's not great. And the last administration, the Bolsonaro administration, he actually encouraged people to go into the Amazon and settle it. It was like manifest destiny.
Settle it?
Settle it. He said cut roads. He actually provided funding for people to go out, cut roads, deforest, set up farms. It was like he said, we have all this territory in our country that we're just not using. This is unutilized potential that could be having economic output, and an ecosystem just standing there isn't actually putting dollars in our pockets. So he went, get out there, do that. And if I'm not wrong, and this is one of those ones of disclaiming, I'm saying that I believe I'm not wrong. He actually said something to the effect of, like, get rid of the indigenous people, get rid of the tribes.
What is it? Like, kill them? What is that? Yeah, can we pull that up? That's
Bolsonaro
crazy.
Tribes, something. It was something very extreme.
He's referring to all of them, the ones known and the ones uncontacted.
I remember just watching it and going, that is. I mean, people talk about, like, racism. It's like, this is. Yeah,
that's crazy.
This was wild.
Bolsonaro wanted to exterminate us, claims indigenous leader Rayoni Metutire. Kayapo chief tells in memoir of seeing former president in his dreams and of warning Lula not to repeat past mistakes. Okay, let's go down.
That's his dreams. I'm saying I know that I saw a video of Bolsonaro saying something where it's like, he's like, we don't need these, like, you know, something very dark.
Okay. I'm trying to see if there's anything that mentions that in here. Can we just Google Bolsonaro quotes on eliminating indigenous tribes? Let's see if that's okay. Jair Bolsonaro has a long history of controversial and widely condemned remarks regarding indigenous tribes in Brazil and advocating for their assimilation, the exploitation of their lands, and expressing admiration for the historical eradication of indigenous population in other countries. A frequently cited quote from a 1998 interview published in 2015-2016 shows him praising the actions of the U.S. cavalry. He stated, "It's a shame that the Brazilian cavalry hasn't been as efficient as the Americans who exterminated the Indians."
There you go. That's a blatant statement. So you have a guy like that who can say that it's unfortunate that we are not able to exterminate indigenous people more than we have. You have that guy running the country that has some of the most sensitive, pristine cultures on earth. And so you think of all the endless miles of smoky jungle and all the toucans and the spider monkeys and the macaws and all the raindrops and leafcutter ants and these complex biological processes, and the fact that everything's interconnected and that the rain in the Amazon is caused by the sum total of all of these interconnections. And then you have China and the World Bank and the IMF and guys like Bolsonaro who just want to make money and they want to use it as space and they want to clear aside that. I mean, just imagine if it was a town of people and you said, we're literally going to bulldoze the town with the people in their houses and then burn it. That's what we're facing. And so I live this life where, you know, it's funny when you watch Mission Impossible, right? We had the ancient forest. We found out that there was 10,000 acres of the Amazon rainforest that was going to be bulldozed and chopped down and burned. And we were able to go online. We told the world about it. We found a donor who gave us half of the money we needed. We went to Instagram. The word spread around the world and we were able to raise $350,000. We protected the ancient forest, saved, right? But that was 2 weeks of like psychotic work, an expedition up there, meeting the landowners, using our indigenous wisdom, sending JJ out, talking to the police, signing with the lawyers. Right. I mean, monumental efforts. You get across the finish line, you fall on your face, but you pick your face up and you go, but there's more smoke. It's the next one. So it's like, even if you can ride the motorcycle and jump off the mountain and land it on a train and then parachute down and stop the bomb from going off, but that's great. But then you got to do it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you're only going to get lucky so many times.
It's like
and you
swatting flies.
It just doesn't stop. And so we've had this, you know, this is the story of win after win after win, but it's like, it's also, there's so many losses. Like the first chapter in here, I'm talking about JJ teaching me how to track.
Also, I looked at the titles of the chapters right before you got here. Fucking sick, bro.
Yeah.
They're sick. Yeah.
The first one is the rivers in our veins. And it's like, that's just when JJ, the early days where JJ would just take me on these little streams in the forest and teach me everything. And then that first stream that we used to explore for years and years and years, that then they burnt it down. And now it's gone. They just burnt it down. Settlers came in, took it as a farm. They burnt it down. They planted yucca there for a couple of years and now they're gone. So they ruined the ancient forest that used to be there, killed every single animal that was living in that forest. I mean, this stream used to have, you know, emerald stained glass ceilings and these giant trees and vines going across, and there'd be jaguar tracks on the rivers and clouds of butterflies. It was magical. And they came and they just cut all the trees with chains individually. You know, the amazing deliberateness here. You have to go and cut each tree for it to fall over. That's the other thing people don't realize with the environment, is that if you stop killing it, it will live. It's been there for millions of years. Long the city, Amazon formed 30 to 55 million years ago, millions of years ago. And so this system has been complexifying for millions of years, it existing right there, all the trees. And if you look at some of the millennium trees that stand there, you look at 1,000-year-old tree, you see that tree was there when they were painting the roof of the Sistine Chapel. That tree was there in World War I. That tree was there in World War II. That tree's been there my entire life. It's been this sentinel of the ages, of the centuries, and then they cut it over. So that story's over. And think of how many millions of animals have lived on the branches of that tree over the course of the centuries that it was alive. And now that story's over. And the fact that in another 1,000 years, we may not have a tree like that, because if we break the moisture cycle of the Amazon, we're not going to have an Amazon rainforest. And so it becomes then that every day is Mission Impossible until we save this ecosystem. And that ecosystem happens to be the size of the lower 48. And we're the last generation in history, because once we cut too much of the Amazon and it can't produce the rain that makes it the Amazon rainforest, then it's going to dry out and become a wasteland. And then you're talking about post-apocalyptic panic on this planet, because everything is going to change and then our weather is going to go crazy. And it's like you're messing with all the dials. And so the fact that we can protect this, I don't think it's a very big ask. And if you're going to go the Jane Goodall route, the Gandalf route, you go, hey, there's still time to do this. So it's not a big ask. I mean, to protect the rest of our river, we need $20 million to protect the rest of our river. I just met somebody that spent $20 million putting in a new cafeteria at their company. And I was like, easy. So this money's out there.
Here's the check.
So here's some chairs and a counter and a few Coke machines and a roof, and it's $20 million right there. We could save. I mean, we're already protecting land that's half the size of Singapore. It's 9 Manhattan Islands.
One less building in New York could make a big difference.
There you go.
Yeah. Make a huge fucking difference. You've talked about before how you don't know where the percentage cutoff is, meaning You don't know when it gets to, whether it gets to 30 or 35% or 40, the Amazon cut down, where it's the point of diminishing, like no return, diminishing returns.
Yeah.
Do you feel like we have, I don't want to say halted, but done enough good over the last 3 years to kind of keep things at even just status quo of losing the Amazon, or are we still statistically losing too many trees?
We're still losing too many trees every year, but again, it can't. You're watching the water slide out of the bucket, and it's like we're slowing it, we're stopping it, but it's still leaking. It's still leaking. It's still going, and it's only one bad administration away from being devastated.
Right.
And the thing is, you don't want to go close to that. You don't want to, how close can you go? How many, what is it, rivets can you take out of the wing of an airplane before, you take 1, 2, 3, 100, you're fine. Big plane. And how many does the wing come off?
That's right.
You don't know. We don't know. Someone knows. But with the Amazon, nobody knows because it's never been done before. And why would you want to push it to that? And so I think that, more and more people are understanding that you need healthy ecosystems for human life to thrive, that these things come standard. They're free. These ecosystem services are free. Life on Earth comes standard with fresh water in the streams. It comes standard with fish in the ocean. There's food everywhere. There's sunlight, there's plants, there's ecosystems. People understand. People start talking about, we should, we're going to go to Mars. Great. It's Bill Maher. I loved Bill Maher's thing about, where he goes, fuck Mars. And he's going, he goes, there's things that are not on Mars that are on Earth. One example is air. He's like, you don't understand. We have ecosystems here that create the environment you live in. Without oxygen in the air, that is because of the ecosystems. This doesn't work. And so I think people get very cavalier with their ideas of what's possible. We live on this tiny little crust of the Earth. That's it. And that's very, very delicate. And something like a hole in the ozone layer, or you hear that when Krakatoa went off, the entire globe cooled because of the smoke from Krakatoa. Actually,
when was that?
When was that? I think it was like
the whole world cooled because of that.
I believe that you can see it. When? Krakatoa? No.
All right, Krakatoa's most famous and catastrophic
1883
eruption occurred from a series of massive explosions culminating on August 27th, 1883, though activity began in May and ended in October that year, with the final basis causing immense tsunamis and killing tens of thousands in Indonesia. The explosion destroyed over 70% of the island, collapsing it into a caldera. It generated colossal tsunamis, some reaching 120 feet high, leading to over 36,000 deaths, primarily on Java and Sumatra. The eruption ejected vast amounts of ash and gas, causing global climate effects that the sun-colored sunsets and a temporary drop in world temperature. There you go.
Yeah. So like a single volcano affecting global temperature. You talk about something like the Amazon rainforest. That's pretty much the defining feature of our planet. It's like the face of Earth. It's the big, nice green thing as you're coming in. I don't think there's anything more important right now than making sure that we survive this period of adolescence. Everyone's very, very concerned with the future, but it's like until you can show that you can manage the things that you've been given for free.
That's right. Where else in the world, Paul, besides the Amazon, are you most concerned about right now from an environmental perspective? I
mean, any river that has in the U.S., we've dammed like 97% of the waterways in the U.S. Just think of that. There's millions and millions and millions of waterways, and they all have a dam. And to the point that now, that was 100 years ago, people thought that was a great idea. They're starting to take down the dams now because salmon fisheries, whereas we're at 5% of the amount of salmon that used to be in a river.
5%.
In a lot of rivers, yeah. We've devastated so many animal populations. They've come down to barely viable populations.
Yeah, 5% is crazy.
Where we used to have billions of salmon coming out of these rivers. And so what's more valuable, a dam to make a little bit of electricity, or having salmon that bears and people and the ecosystem can all depend on the salmon.
Right.
And I think that at this point, it's like even the people that used to be the destroyers are understanding that this is just not, it's not going to work like this.
You weren't kidding, bro. More than 550,000 dams are located in the United States, indicating that nearly every major river in the country has been dammed, diked, or diverted. The National Inventory of Dams lists over 90,000 significant structures, but total dams, including smaller non-federal ones, may exceed 2 million, causing widespread habitat fragmentation.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
how's that
really
even
bad.
possible?
It's incredible. There's a documentary that'll make you cry called Damnation. It's an amazing documentary, and it's like they interview all these people that are fighting to protect waterways, and it's like you meet these beautiful. There's a guy who his job is to monitor salmon, and you see him talking about this. He takes you under the water in these clear pools and talks about how these fish come here and how they're just trying to get upriver, and they're trying to they spawn, and their whole life is connected to the river from the sea upwards. And then, as if this wasn't bad enough, as if we didn't dam the rivers that stop the salmon, then you have farmed salmon.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.